And since it's just us three, like seriously, stop me at any point. I'm going to go through things fast. So maybe you can have some more time to yourself and maybe we'll get through it before you have to head on out. So as you guys know, I love Pear Deck. I'm obsessed with Pear Deck. I think it's just the greatest tool to keep everybody on the same page, and you can integrate so many other apps into it. So what's nice is at the end of the session, once I close the session, it's going to email you the slide deck. So anything you write in Pear Deck, anything that you see, I always hyperlink in 20,000 different different resources and things like that. So you'll have access to all of this in your emails by 2:00 here. So we're just going to really informally talk about synchronous and asynchronous learning, share some different models about how you might structure your class moving forward, and explore some different assessments and reflect a little bit too. And so when you use Pear Deck, you do have to go in your settings and make sure the takeaways are turned on, but it's so great because our students at home who are home all the time, they might not have access to a printer. So giving them the takeaways is a great way for them to take digital notes and be able to access that again. For you, Jeremy, they can't lose them. It'll get stored in their Google Drive. So if you know the name of the session, they should be able to find it, with some of our organizationally challenged kiddos. So I guess the big question is, when should I utilize synchronous and asynchronous learning? I think the big thing is for this first coming week, I think it is smart and wise to kind of start synchronously. Start very slow. Let's just check in with everybody. Let's emotionally make sure everyone is okay. We're just not going to get through a lot of content next week, or probably pretty much at all. But that idea of it's okay to start synchronously. And then as we feel a little bit more comfortable, then for me, I think I'm going to be doing really the blended model where my A-Day kids are going to be synchronous while my B-Day kids will be asynchronous. So I'm going to really flip-flop there. My Mondays will always be synchronous. I'm going to do all my Mondays synchronous live at the same time to keep some consistency. Also to touch base with everyone. I can set up everything for the entire week on a Monday and then kind of flip-flop my groups on the subsequent days. The more you're consistent, the more like every Monday I do a Pear Deck. Every Tuesday and Wednesday I play Kahoot. Kind of having those, Thursday, Friday, we're doing grammar. Having those routines is going to be really helpful for us, also really helpful for our kiddos. So when I'm talking about and thinking about my hybrid lessons, this is the model that I'm really going to follow. And when kids are remote, they're going to be, that's going to be my asynchronous time. And when kids are face-to-face, that's going to be my synchronous time. My kids that are full remote are going to stay with their alphabet groups. So they're going to stay with A through K is still going to be with A through K, and L through Z will still be through L through Z. Another advantage to having guided or having just Monday being like the synchronous day for everyone is because I can't even keep track of which day is red and blue right now, let alone thinking about how these Mondays are going to switch. So if you kind of just have it all the same, no matter where they are, that can be really helpful too. Any thoughts on that? Any questions?
No, I like that. I wish we would have kept the Mondays the way we've been doing them from here on out. I thought the use of Mondays was a good use of time, but yeah, so you've just done it yourself, which is cool.
And I like Mondays for checking in with everybody. Yeah. Anyway, because for us, we have doubles, and that throws another like crazy wrench in it. And when I have some groups for a double period on some day. Oh yeah. So I like the Monday. I have everybody. Yep. I have everybody for a period. So that's nice.
Well, these periods are short. So, I mean, it's, by the time we get going, you're talking 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So no, that's a good use.
For sure. Yeah, poor science people. I was talking to Kashali earlier today. I can't even imagine how you guys are wrapping your brains around doubles and all that fun stuff. So
I've had to map it out multiple times. I'm still not sure that I get it.
Well, one thing that can be really helpful, again, is if you kind of plan out your face-to-face lessons and your remote lessons. So it's even whether it's all of us or, you know, in science especially, is if you've got 7 lessons with students a week, kind of make a chart and say, okay, lesson number 1, I'm going to do this. Lesson 2, I'm going to do that. But it just might be in different orders for different students. And so for me, I'm still going to plan 5 lessons, and I'm just going to flip-flop. If my kids are async, then they're doing this on this day. If they're sync, they're going to be doing this on a different day. So that can really help you as well. But in Canvas, the iCoaches, we all teach different subjects. So we actually all made different plans per our division. So I'm going to go to science here, and Katie Bowman planned out or pasted what her classes are going to look like. So she's really going with the sync and async model. These are all in Canvas on the CG Canvas support page. So you can look at all of those there. And for English, I'm going to show you what I did for English in just another slide here. But we just had a new friend come in. I'm going to stop my screen for a second. Hi, lady. It's wonderful to see you. I'm going to drop the code for the Pear Deck in the chat. So if you want to hop on in, and feel free to unmute and ask questions whenever you would like. So, oh, that came out ugly. So it's joinpd.com, and there's the code there. So on that note, I think one of the most helpful things for me was, as you can see, this is my English example, but what I did to plan out whether or not I was going to utilize asynchronous or synchronous strategies is I just started with what I knew. So I went through the activities that I do in a common English class. And so this would be really helpful in the activities you do in physics or in chemistry or in, you know, American history. Think about the things you have them do, like delivering a speech, writing an essay, doing a reading comprehension activity. And so what I did, once I listed out my activities, I thought about 2 or 3 different ways that I might implement those in my classroom, whether students are remote or face-to-face, live or not live. So just having a couple of different ideas really helped me to brainstorm, what is that going to actually look like when I implement it in my classroom? And so I've got this resource. And again, I'm going to do the A group and the B group. I'm going to be flip-flopping and do a lot more blended learning after the first week. The first week I'm all sync all the time, just to make sure we're all staying on the same page. And then I'll venture out and get a little more creative. And so again, this is not the time to be starting new tech tools. As much as I love technology, I want you guys to think about the things that you do that you really like, that works well. And so we've got this D155, the tech tools resource. It's always kind of good to just brainstorm. And if you're looking for a tool to do something specific, you know, again, you've got these resources here, but play it safe. I do Flipgrid once a week. I do a Kahoot once a week. I do Pear Deck once a week. So I almost just have those same routines. So my students know exactly how to access what we're doing on any given day. So some things to consider though, as you're starting to think about, once you get comfortable, like, does something need to be live, or can I do it asynchronously? Can I push it out and the kids do it on their own? These are my 3 questions, my go-tos. You know, when we're teaching a new concept, when we're front loading content, especially at the beginning of a unit, that probably should be synchronous. If we are doing a lesson that is going to require a lot of collaboration, synchronous is probably the way to go. If we're doing a lesson where students need live feedback, again, those are probably the reasons to utilize synchronous learning. But if it's a review concept, if it is a lab that they can do independently, those might be your asynchronous opportunities. So again, thinking about what our students need and then choosing whether you're synchronous or asynchronous afterwards. And so there's all sorts of amazing resources out there. And one thing I want to model for you guys, if you're looking in the Pear Deck tab, you'll see that you'll have a text box on the right-hand side. If I gave you this Pear Deck to be asynchronously, so I let you do it in student pace mode, you could click on the resources that I have in the slides. You could do the assignment or activity, so you could read the article, and then you could take notes in your tab in Pear Deck. So just something to think about with asynchronous Pear Deck is that students can take notes, they can respond to questions, and they can move at their own pace. So if I were to turn on, and I'm gonna do it for you right now, I'm turning on student pace mode. So now you guys can go to any slide that you want. Let's see. Yeah, you can advance, you guys can move around. I see you guys already moving around. And so a lot of times when I'm using a Pear Deck in a lesson, I will do synchronous activities and then I will do asynchronous activities. So I can see Danica, love, don't. I'm eagerly waiting what she has to say. Don't waste students' time. Absolutely. I love that. But you know what? I can say, okay, students, time to come back to my slide here. So I turned off student pace mode and I brought you back together. And so again, if you were doing this lesson or this activity that we're doing together asynchronously, you could watch this video, you could take notes, you can move at your own pace. So synchronous is what we think of traditional learning. Way back in the day, back in 2019, when everything was sunshine and rainbows, traditional face-to-face learning could be on Zoom, could be in the classroom. Those are those live experiences that I know we've been missing quite a bit. So here are some tips and tricks. I have a couple of different one-pagers that are embedded in here. So if you're someone who's super like tactile and you like to print things off, you can print off this one page. It'll be sent to you in the email. And it just talks about like different ways to maximize your Zoom time or your synchronous time when you're over, when you're over a computer. And so thinking about that, here's all sorts of different things that you can do that, we've kind of learned, trial by fire here in terms of getting those things, done, for the last 2 months. And so the beauty of asynchronous learning is, before COVID hit and all that, we were really making a push towards blended learning, towards that idea that students can complete tasks in their own time, place, and in their own order, and really take more autonomy for their pacing. So one thing that I loved, and I was teaching a blended class last year when we were still traditional, is I would have a lot better discussions in smaller groups. When we're in small groups, that's the time to really work with kids, in this face-to-face manner, whether we're on a computer or not. But when there are activities like ed puzzles, when there are activities like Flipgrids or presentations where they can do it asynchronously, it's really nice to give them that flexibility too. So again, just playing with those different strategies. Another tip that I have been doing with my seniors is I make everything due at 11:59 on Saturday. I have one due date every single week. Even if it's really an ed puzzle that I give them 10 minutes in class to do, and it absolutely should be done, I give them till Saturday at the end of the week, because we have kids that are going to be sick. We have kids that are going to get confused and accidentally not show up. We have kids that'll be full remote. And so something that can really help is building in, even if it's synchronous and it's a live activity, I'm making almost everything feel asynchronous so that they have that flexibility. And they know it better be in by Saturday at 11:59. And so another tip and trick for asynchronous, but also synchronous at the same time. I love seeing your faces nod too. Thank you for the nonverbals. I say that to my speech kids all the time. It's always fun. So synchronous assessments. I think something that we've all struggled with is taking quizzes while they're remote and knowing that they can Google anything at any time. One way around that, and I've had really great conversations with some math teachers about how they do assessments. So they actually, Tim Garris gave me this idea. They do their assessments where they'll have students make a Flipgrid. I think this could be really cool for science too. So they have their students make a Flipgrid, so it's asynchronous, and they explain how they solved a problem. So if you're looking for a little more critical thinking from your students, a think aloud, where instead of them writing an essay or a DBQ in social science, maybe they talk out their ideas and they prove their point that way. Can be something that can be also synchronous, but asynchronous as well. So more asynchronous assessments. When I think about lab reports and writing up the report after they have the experience, they can do that at any time in any place. Speeches, I've done most of my speeches asynchronously, not because, not because of like a timing issue, but because of our computer issue, and students don't have great Wi-Fi. So it can be really challenging for students to be able to do presentations. So Flipgrid is amazing for that. Screencastify, they can also walk through their logic. If they're doing any sort of, something on a computer where they're solving problems, they can walk through on Screencastify and send that to us as well. And then those Canvas quizzes and discussions can be asynchronous too.
Hey, Steph.
Yes.
Mastery Manager is also great. You open the assessment only for an hour. You tell them it's going to be open from like during the class time, and you don't have to be with them. But yes, you cannot, if they want to cheat by having another computer and Googling through their phone or computer, they can do that. But, at least with the Mastery Manager, they have to go exam login.
Yeah.
So that controls at least that one computer.
For sure. And I like the timing piece that you suggested too, is that idea that if they have a limited time, sure, they could be Googling things on their phone, but they really do have to know their material and things like that ahead of time too. So that's a really great point.
It's 1 hour. Usually if the class is 1 hour, I just give them 1 hour. And it's during the class time, I say you log off, start now and finish. So I know who was there and who's going to take the test. Because if somebody doesn't take the test, I know there's a problem.
Perfect. And what's nice about Mastery Manager too then is you don't have to exchange paper. They can still do it digitally, which even if, the students are in the classroom, minimizing your paper use is probably a really good health precaution as well. Cool. Other thoughts, ideas?
Are you guys, for your assessments and you and then people in your department, are you using any kid asynchronous time to take assessments at this point, like the longer ones? I get like the 5-question quizzes can be done in class, but are all of you guys anticipating doing your longer assessments outside of class time? Because we don't have much time? Is that how you guys see it being done?
Probably. I've been breaking up speaking for myself and what I've been doing. I talked to Steph at the beginning of this semester because we've been implementing sort of a portfolio piece to our test. So they do like a quick 15 to 20 question, like multiple choice traditional on Canvas, like Canvas quizzes. And then we've given them these prompts with a rubric, and that's the one that we tell them that the quiz will time out for like after 20 minutes. And then the other part, you have the rest of the block. So my kids purposely, like I asked them, I said, we're getting to the time where we could use an assessment. And they said that they wanted to do it today. So they're actually doing their whole assessment today asynchronously because they wanted the block time.
They need the time, right.
So I am envisioning maybe we would do synchronous time for like one part of it, and I would open up just one part of their assessment, and then the other part I would make that asynchronous because I like the portfolio part, and I don't really have to watch them do it.
Right, correct. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, for me, I don't do a lot of like traditional tests. It's all speeches and papers. So those are all asynchronous. And to give students the experience of being live giving speeches, I've been doing like live on Zoom as like a formative. So they get points just for doing it. But I've had so many kids with so many different tech issues that I take that stress off them. And so their summative speech is on Flipgrid, which they can use their phones and do all sorts of different things. Right. So another way to experience both, but we're making it work.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of video, so when it comes to videos, there's a lot of different schools of thoughts. This is one of my favorite from Edutopia videos that just talks about strategies for creating video content. And the best way to multiply yourself or make you available in multiple places is by making those videos. It's a lot of work to front load. It takes a lot of time. Over the years, I've tried to, when I do a lesson, I try to record it. You can even record your lessons like I'm recording right now on Zoom. And then you have a video that you can chop up or just use segments of and reshare out with students. So the school of thought is videos that are longer than 6 minutes, they yield pretty poor results for comprehension and for students just to watch it to the end. So keeping short segments, like Danica, I love what you're saying about segmenting your assessment. You can also segment those lessons and those concepts where you have them watch a little chunk, do an assessment, watch another little chunk, do an assessment. And so those are some really cool things that you can utilize when making videos. And again, that gives you the flexibility to either watch the video live. Sometimes I have the kids come to class and I say, you're going to watch this ed puzzle because I know that's going to quiz you guys along the way. I can track to make sure you watch the whole thing. And then we're going to come back together and talk about it. So I might have them stop their video and then watch the ed puzzle and then come back together. So you can kind of be flexible and do ed puzzles live or, asynchronously too. And so synchronous learning, again, Zoom, Pear Deck, Kahoot, is Quizlet, those are all great things to do live with kids. They like to play games with each other. But some of the more traditional asynchronous things are, this is my list of go-to. It is a longer list, but like this is what I use all the time, almost every day with kids. And so they're so used to it. So I think, again, pick just a handful of different tools that you love, that your students feel comfortable with, and really stick to it. I've always gotten feedback that kids love Edpuzzle. They're like, if I have to watch a video, at least it makes me think. So those can be really great. And if we have friends in our CLTs and our, teach common classes, we don't have to, we don't have to carry the load all by ourselves. We can share our videos and our lessons. And so getting creative with your co-teachers, can be really helpful too. Padlet is my absolute favorite for making learning visible. That's the other thing. I want to challenge you guys to be thinking about, and if you look back at the Pear Deck, I just opened up a Padlet for you guys, which is why I love app smashing, is because I've got content on the one side and then I've got your assignment on the other side. So you can see what, you can add your comments on a Padlet while we're learning something, on the left-hand side of your screen. And so when we have students in 3 different groups in all sorts of different locations, some of them will be in front of us, most of them will be home. When you can make learning visible, Padlet is like the most universal of all tools. They can add video, they can add pictures, they can write. It's easy and fast to use. So think about simple tools that really illustrate what kids are doing. That can be really powerful. All right, going back here. I'm gonna skip out of it, so you're gonna lose that Pear Deck. Since there's so few of us, you don't feel like you have to write anything. Why don't we just share, like, what has been working? What's something that you love that you might not have loved or done before?
I feel like I said this earlier to Troy Bruley today. I feel like it's been a blend of doing some new things or using things, or going to that toolbox. So I've used Padlet, I've used Flipgrid, like I've used some of those things. I've done more with Cami. The kids call it Cami. I call it Cami. I don't know what the name is.
Probably Cami.
I think it was like a conspiracy. They were all going to call it Cami, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure it's Cami. Anyway, that was a discussion. But I feel like it's been a blend of new things and really, really old things that I have like kind of ditched, but they've been a little bit, but you can do them online and you can do them at home. So.
Yeah, I also used Cami. It was really good. The kids were able to draw the graphs. I had a worksheet. It was a PDF document, and I kind of uploaded it into Cami, and they had to finish the graphs. So they did a great job. Almost everybody completed it. But after that, I lost track of it because of my situation, of course. But that first week, I had that Cami and everything, and I was so excited that I was going with some new technology, and everything was going good. But I guess I have to go back and look at it just to see how I set it up. It's been a while, so that's the only thing. But I did Cami, I did some Flipgrid. And since you were talking about how the kids lose track of what assignment is due, weekly agenda. And that I write, this is an assignment. It is a graded assignment. Click here to complete it. It's due. Like I write it in there so that when they see the page, they kind of get that too. They know that this is due. This is due.
Yeah, I did I stumbled upon Cami. I didn't realize we even had it until I had a PDF open and it asked if I wanted to open it up with Cami. I said, sure. And then I just was blown away that you could actually just type and write on a PDF. So I thought that was pretty cool. So for me, it was cool because I was able to use some of the stuff, especially with my special ed kids, I was able to use some of the stuff that I haven't been able to use because of limitations on taking too much time to convert PDFs and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was cool. And it's built right into Canvas, which is sweet. And then Nearpod, I've really kind of geeked out on that. So I don't know.
Pear Deck is better.
What'd you say?
Pear Deck is better.
Yeah, but for the stuff I teach, the templates that are already out there, it's crazy. Therese Miller got me on this work program site with all these Nearpod things.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to create anything, so it's perfect. I can just tweak what's there. So I've used that a lot. Yeah, but Padlet, Quizlet, I've used all that stuff already. I think what Danica said was probably right. With special ed, I tend to go a little bit lower tech because they get lost in the technology. But I haven't had a choice. I've had to. So I've kind of, like you said, I've kind of gone back into that toolbox and just kind of thrown a bunch of stuff out at them, and hopefully something sticks. So
Yeah, no, I think you guys you're all doing such amazing things and finding, like you said, what sticks for your group and your people, and that sense of consistency I think is really important. So limit the amount of things. It doesn't have to be 50 things at once. It can really keep it simple, and each day is one thing, and I think we're going to find a lot of success. And so I just want to really quickly show you, it's a very simple concentric circle. It's just that idea of, going back here, one thing that might be helpful is just spending a few minutes thinking about what absolutely has to be live with my students and what can they do on their own. And so if you're breaking your students up into, the A group and the B group, having, some key concepts and activities that you want to be synchronous with your students, and then giving them some autonomy to finish some things on their own, like the no red ink for English, Jeremy, or an ed puzzle, or a lab report can be really, really helpful. So just something to think about. Take a few minutes at some point, just to strategize, and that can help you organize your thoughts. And so this resource is, again, just a one-pager that I know some people like to print things out. Some people like to have that tactile example. I also have hyperlinks of like what works well asynchronously, what works well synchronously. And so really just thinking about that, and ultimately thinking about trying to create an engaging experience for our students, whether that experience is live with us or, happens at 10 o'clock at night when they choose to open up Canvas. So really that's all I've got for you guys. So are there any questions or anything else that I can talk you through?
I don't think so.
I don't think so too. I mean, first week is going to be word. It's weight in gold, I mean, we'll know after first week what exactly we are made up of, and what is the result going to be. I think after first week, if we need help, we'll need more then, because I really, like you said, I'm planning to do the same thing. I write my agenda down, and what I want to do in class, like a demo or a lab. And I've told my kids, you have to log in every day. Don't care. First week, you log in every day, because I will figure it out as the time goes on, whether you need it to be there or not. But you need to come in, and then I can say, work on the mastering physics today, go, done. So then you log off, but I want you to be there. How many of them will show up on Tuesday is another question, because they might just think it's the same. Especially if they are the group B, they're like, we just need to go log in at 9 o'clock, 9:15. This is my 4th hour class, and here the 4th hour class time is different. So I'll be in my 7th hour, and they'll be like trying to log in. I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm going to take one step at a time and go from there.
Yep.
Well, you are the best. I miss seeing both of you in the hallways. Although, Jeremy, I keep running into you. So
I'm sorry for you.
Sorry.
I have to get out of my chair. I've had enough. So it's awful. I just find myself wandering. So
well, friends, you're the best. Hang in there, and you know how to book me if you need me after this first week. Okay.
all right,
Thank
thanks,
you so
Steph. We
much,
appreciate
Steph.
you.
I really
Bye.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take
Take
care.
care, Benna.
Yeah, you too.